understanding. We're on a mission from God.
And all I have to say is, drizzle, drizzle.
They shouldn't have given you ashy blokes YouTube.
Cursed be the ground, for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are. And to the dust we shall return.
All right, good people. Back in the house, punching the clock on, what is it? Damn, it's Tuesday. Man, I'm losing track of days. Tuesday, punching the clock. Instant media is first. I don't believe it. Beaming in on 7. I guess when you use a transporter, it's easy to be first, okay? Very little batting second. Snowman batting third, okay? Oh, like the Big Hurt, huh? Paul Bunyan, what's going on? If sisters keep losing 100,000 jobs a month, there will be over 4 million jobs lost during Trump's term. 20% unemployment is Arctic winter. I hope it doesn't get that bad. Epic dance a lot. Is there a link so I can study up on before we hit the video? Well, we're going to play just about the whole video. So I will drop the link for it. Let's see. Michael Ross, I feel for the symbolism twice with Barry, never again. At this point, I will probably never vote again, but never again for a Democrats. Yeah, that's a position to take. Vote policy, not my party or person. Adric, what's up? Luther, what's going on? Kevin, free agent Triple OG. Michael Ross, what's going on? Ricky, Ilias, Quentin, going on. Let's see, Gundam, Indigo Flow. I says BGS because they let linebackers like Simone Sanders speak for them. What man wants to hear that mouth? That is very true. Captain Obvious, what's happening? Turtle Bitcoin, Wagner. In fact, Turtle Bitcoin, I might do it tomorrow because the brother with the Dre's, the Nigerian with the braids in New York that talks about black men and black women. He actually posted something I actually want to do on concerning white supremacy, global white supremacy, and the caste system, the caste order. Okay, very interesting stuff. I might do that tomorrow. Just for you, Eddie. What up, man? Burning them donuts in the parking lot. What's happening? The black toxic masculinist. What's going on? Yours truly, John. What's happening? Yeah, I needed something, and it was actually between this and K Michelle, and I didn't feel like doing. I started listening to K Michelle, man. I ain't, them going back for. I didn't like hearing her voice today, so I ain't do that one. What's up, Louis? I know you're trying to keep up with all that stuff going on with Iran and Israel, so keep up the good work, man. It's getting crazy. Good afternoon, chat. That Kiss K Michelle trial up got me agitated, family. That's why I didn't do her today. Okay. I started to do her today, but man, that voice and that entitlement, and then that, in between the two of them, because they're both Southern, the crap that's going on, man, I said, I can't do it today. Horitz, what's going on? Ray, what's happening? AL, what's up? Supreme Pivot, what's going on? B-Roll, what's happening? Juice. Let's see, who else we got? Don Calypso, what's happening? Shannon Green, what's happening? GJ Scan, what's going on? Johnny Vegas, what's happening? Mose Fett, what's going on? Michael L, what's happening? Let's see who else we got. Craig, what's up? This is right up Craig's alley. Kareem, what's going on? Panda Man. Panda Man blowing the spot with Captain Hook, the rest of the pirates, and the Jolly Roger, and the winches. And shout out to the winches, man. Deron, what's going on? Mookie, what's happening? Luke said, have modified your ship. It's ready for the battle. uh, Muhammad, what's happening? Kelvin, Deron. Let's see. Who else we got? Uh, yeah, I agree, Don Calypso. Her voice is like nails on a chalkboard. Oh, you got ready for work listening? Oh, okay. Man, you know what? And this is something as an aside, right? Because like a couple hours, I just got off my, in real life podcast I do with my mentor, right? And I was expressing, you try to sneak in man's for talking points, even though it's a woman-centered show, right? Okay. And I get the same shit, the same stuff, right? Back, okay. And I know it's a gynocentric space, and it's women first, women led, right? And I get the same shit back, same talking points, right? Okay. Um, I don't know who you talking to, but I don't experience it in my daily life, right? And so when I start expressing data, surveys, blah blah blah, they always say, "Was 2025 that doesn't apply anymore?" I said the survey was just done 2 years ago. Uh, um, Data, uh, talking points, news articles, studies, all kind of stuff, man. That doesn't matter. I don't know who you talking to, right? I said, what demographic you talk to? I said I talked to thousands of men from all different walks of life, okay, and not all of them are black. I hate that, okay. I don't know who you talking to. I talk to everybody, and that pisses me off. I said from PhDs all the way down to the pookies on the street. That's who I talk to. So they're always saying that their circle is so exclusive, and you're out of step. No, I said I study this shit every day. Y'all know I study this stuff every day, and so they always try that. MS Delta, MS Delta is one of those guys. MS Delta is not a pookie, okay? And then you guys always report back. Medicog, what's going on? So Dr. Dumbo, I get this all the time, because they don't like what I'm saying. Roll call. What's up, Agent Machines? Jive Gray. Eric Hormonger. Her voice is no more enduring than Fran Drescher. It is. That's why I didn't do it today. I may do it tomorrow. Okay. Everybody's talking about K Michelle. It's like I listened to it. Yeah, it was sagging, and she got rid of those big tits too. Because they did like 2 hours, man. So trying to cut it all up, it's like, and I listen, try to listen to the parts in between. It's like, just irritating. Naima, what's going on? Or who are the women? Who are these women you're dating? Yep. Mr. J. Matt, what's happening? Ellis, what's happening? May is way out of touch. It's insane. She better be trolling. I wish she was trolling. Like I said, I just got off with my pro black folks, and basically, um, if it's not female centered, okay, it's not female centered, then what you have to say that goes counter to that, man. Then they go into I don't know who you talk to, I don't know what circle you're in. That stuff doesn't matter. That stuff is old, okay? Because I was telling them, just as an aside, I was telling them that the reason, because the show was about the reason that sex has declined, okay, amongst people, right? And I gave four things. I said first of all is the urbanism, okay? Because you go look at the Mouse Utopia and you look at the demographics. That's the first cause. Second cause is basically the smartphone, right? Because the internet and the screens are a distraction, right? I said I said I said the third cause was okay. The third cause was the complexity entitlement of dating of modern women, right? Okay, they want they want all this special stuff and the special treatment that doesn't matter. In other words, dating's too complex. And the fourth thing I said after COVID, right? I said a lot of people, especially young men, found out that they were more content, not happy, but more content without giving up the emotional labor and the problems to get sex. Okay. And oh man, you thought I dropped the bomb. You would thought I dropped the bomb. Dr. L's, what's going on? Dr. L, I don't want to do it in public because um, because I try to keep my real name in that sector private. Is because I don't want what I do to rub off on them. So I try to keep that for for last 10 years. I try to keep that separate. But if you email me and you promise not to leak it, I will actually send it to you. Yeah, the third or fourth reason. But the thing is, they always say I don't talk. They think I'm out of touch with men. Okay, that it doesn't apply. That women are more aggressive, and they had a woman to come up and said, "No, we still expect men to approach." Come on. Yeah, just email me. I think you have my email. Just email me. I'll send it to you. I just don't want to do it over the air because number one, I don't know who's watching. Number two, um, if I do that, then they'll start trolling these people. Do you know BGS IBMOR? And he talks about you guys. You know that he's yada yada yada. And thing is, that's how they make their money, and it'll impact them not only with reputation but also money wise. Okay, financially. So that's why I don't do it. It's Art Art can tell you because Art's here. Art knows, we are in the same city and in the same van. He can tell you that's how it runs. Okay. Anyhow, let me go ahead and get started with this before we go too long. Okay. Now I don't know if you guys know this. This is Richard Reeves. It's not just a nobody. Richard Reeves, who's a part of. Got to remember Brookings. People think that Brookings is some quasi progressive liberal think tank. No, it's not. Okay, Brookings is a DOD think tank. Okay, it's military first. So most of what comes out of Brookings is military oriented. If it's not that, then it has a very specific goal about how to shape politics and how to shape society in a certain way. Okay, so they're not innocent. They're not trying to do you any favors. They're trying to guide you in a certain direction. So if you listen to what Brookings is saying, you have to take what Brookings says with a grain of salt. Okay, this is your United States government in action, trying to influence you. Okay, they're not some nobodies. Okay, roach is free when the bomb goes off. Well, the thing is not what they expect. Okay, uh, because women. The money is filtered through the female in the black community. It is what it is. Okay, money is always uh, filtered. Now, in the white community, the money is filtered through the man. Okay, the money goes through the men. Okay, in the black community, the money goes through the woman. It always has. The money goes through the woman first. Money goes through the woman first. Education, opportunities, money, jobs, all that kind of stuff come through the woman first in the black community. It is what it is. So that's how come they can, when they get upset, and start pulling their coins or closing their pocketbooks. People suffer. Anyhow, let me get going. This is More Perfect Union, and this is Richard Reeves talking about why men don't like the Democrats. Okay.
Trump and Vance and them, they just put themselves out there. They're more direct.
They have co-opted masculinity and they've politicized it.
I hate this term, the Joe Rogan of the left, that they need one. Joe Rogan is sort of left.
I do feel as though they are a distraction from class consciousness.
All of a sudden, everybody's talking about young men.
Men.
Young men.
More than half of the male vote nationwide went to Trump.
Men under 30.
Men under 30.
This was the testosterone.
All this stuff that we're talking about now, because a lot of times I get accused of talking about women and dating and stuff like that, right? Okay. you have Brookings Institute and these people putting billions, not millions, billions of dollars into this problem, right? Billions, okay, probably trillions around the world into this particular problem. Okay, it's not nothing. So when I talk about it, I talk from the point of how a society and civilizational aspect. I don't. You guys know I don't really give dating advice unless you directly ask me about something, because I think for the most part dating advice is fairly simple, in my opinion. It's fairly simple. Okay. Because I always ask, how would you guide a young man if you want to date? Okay, first you have to just ask him what he wants. Second, ask you what is he willing to give up. Second thing is, who is he? What talents does he bring to bear on the table? And then you work from there. If you answer those 5 questions, pretty much, okay, you can pretty much give him a roadmap to actually get what he wants, for the most part, okay. And the thing is, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to train and move someplace in the world where you can get what you want? That means you don't want it that bad.
Podcast election.
$20 million to try and solve this big mystery.
$20 million.
$20 million.
Masculinity.
Role culture.
Young men.
The manosphere.
Manosphere.
Hi, my name's Richard Reeves, and
The
I...
manosphere, okay? Right up front, the manosphere. But the manosphere is not important. The manosphere is dying. The manosphere is being co-opted, blah, 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 blah. No, it's front and center. This is about, maybe, I think it's like 2 weeks ago. Let me see when this was actually recorded. June 6th, yeah, a couple of weeks ago. Really, a week ago, for the most part, okay? Front and center.
I've spent the last few years thinking about, researching, and writing about the struggles that young men, and particularly working class men, are facing in America. Because of how the last election went, there's a lot more attention on young men than actually at any time since I've been working on this issue.
Yes.
But I've been wondering, with all of this discourse talking about men, how many people have actually talked to men?
Yes, exactly.
After all,
Facts. Say it again, white boy. How many people have talked to men instead of about them? Okay.
problems facing men are real and serious. Men account for 80% of deaths from suicide, 70% of overdose deaths, 70%.
That's been the case even before all this crap. Okay, it's always been the case. Women attempt it. Men are more successful. Okay, women actually attempt suicide twice the rate of men. Okay, the things men are just better at it.
Percent of the homeless population in America. They've fallen behind in education, in the labor market, and other major metrics. And it's young men in particular, those aged between 20 and 30, who are feeling the sharpest impact of many of these changing ideas and paradigms about men's roles, opportunities, and their outcomes. So I had a pretty wide-ranging conversation with 5 young men about their views on dating, mental health, toxic masculinity, and of course, politics.
A toxic masculinity. Here we go.
I am a carpenter and a musician.
I was a former teacher, and now I'm a union organizer.
College degree, okay.
I'm currently working on an undergraduate degree.
I've been bouncing around different part-time jobs and internships.
I've done electrical, I've done construction.
Most recently as a substitute teacher and now working at the front desk at a tennis club.
Moving, cleaning, any type of physical labor.
Some of what they said might make you uncomfortable, but the reality is whether you're a progressive or a conservative, both sides need to confront their problem with young men, or a large share of the population is not going to have a political home.
Exactly, and more than that. Let's be a bit petty. Told you so. SYSBM. Yes.
That means they might turn to more extreme ideologies, and meanwhile their problems just get worse.
I think now it's SYSWM, right? Save yourself, white man. Now, huh?
So let's get into it.
Did you vote in past elections, and can you tell us how you voted?
In 2016, I voted for Trump over Hillary. Before then, I didn't really vote, but I did support Obama in 2012 and 2008. We definitely went Trump in 2020. Not like I didn't support him.
And that's cool, white boy, huh?
I don't support anything political, I believe that I'm just a working man in America. The president don't matter for me. They ain't gonna pass some crazy executive order that's gonna change my life or anything.
It's all happening.
Just smoke and mirrors for me, you know what I'm saying?
I voted in this election. I voted red down the ballot, and I voted in the primary. Before that, I was too young.
The last time I voted was 2012 for Obama. It was the first time I could vote. After that, I kind of felt as though, politics and politicians were kind of blending in.
In other words, he voted for the couch.
To a uniform party overall, and things weren't fundamentally changing.
Yeah, exactly. They're two wings of the same bird.
All throughout high school, I used to be a Republican, but my family got affected by the 2017 Trump tax cuts.
You got affected by it in what way? In a good way?
In a bad way.
In a bad way,
yeah,
okay.
And I was just thinking to myself, who is this billionaire to lie to us and say, well, I'm gonna fight for the truck driver, I'm gonna fight for the carpenter and the middle class person, when he's not any of those things.
So I've just had a kind of cynical view on general elections. You know, I really don't think the general election matters that much unless you live in a handful of states. And I just used a write-in. I voted for local measures, but I don't really feel seen or heard by anyone in the government.
Let's look at
He elected the couch.
some economic realities. In the top 20% of the income distribution, both women and men are flourishing on almost every measure. Growing wealth, longer lifespans. But outside of this top bracket, over the last 50 years, the trajectories for women and men have been very different. Women today are working more and for better pay than ever before. There's still a gender pay gap, but it's narrowing, which is great news. Men, on the other hand, are working less, often for worse pay. Real wage levels for many men are trending down. I wanted to know if the guys in this room were feeling the effects of these economic trends.
On average, do you think that men are having it harder or women are having it harder in the economy today? I'll start with you, John.
I'd say vaguely men, but I'd say vaguely in the
Why?
and sort of barely.
Why is that?
A big problem when you send manufacturing jobs off to other countries is that they are mostly blue-collar jobs. I don't entirely mean to stereotype, but
Manufacturing skews very male. That's just a fact.
Everybody's getting screwed, but I think if you're talking 50.01, then I think it'd be men. Personally, like including myself, I can think of like 5 or 6 of my friends who are guys who have college degrees and who have not been able to find work since graduating. Some of them even with like advanced degrees.
Basically, being educated doesn't guarantee a job. So that most educated shit that black ones throw around doesn't mean squat. Okay, Mookie can tell you that.
I cannot say the same about any of my girlfriends. I can't think of a single one who's unemployed. You know, and part of it is just like I think women at this age are naturally risk averse, so they're not going to like leave a job if they don't have something lined up. There are a lot of different factors, but it's just an interesting thing to think about.
Obviously, I work with a lot of people. They tell me about their wages, their job, and women are definitely doing better in terms of like white collar work.
Yes.
But on the lower end, there's people, of course, that are struggling and people that, you know, need help. And then there's people that just have nothing. And, you know, people that just have nothing, I see that being primarily women on the lower end. But we don't have the same opportunity as we used to. Like,
you know, there's a safety net to catch the women that don't have anything. Okay, what he's saying is that men can default to physical work where women won't. Okay, that's why I was telling you with DEI. Okay, that the white female educated white collar jobs are going away.
You brought up with manufacturing. I mean, that's a really great point.
I also think when it comes to college education, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure more women go to college
Yeah, it's like
nowadays.
60-40, female, male now.
When you're having jobs that are looking for degrees, the percentage of men that don't have a degree versus the percentage of women that do have a degree probably affects it.
Labour force participation for men has dropped 7% in the last 50 years. A third of men with only a high school education are not working today, whereas in the 60s, almost all of them were working. And that's partly because male-dominated industries, production, manufacturing, construction, transportation, they've all been particularly vulnerable to a 1-2 punch of more free trade and automation. And loss of a job isn't just about the loss of income. For many decades, being able to find a well-paying job and provide for a family was an essential part of the script that men could look to for how to be in the world. But now things have changed, both for the better, with women having more career opportunities, but also for the worse, with the middle-class standard of living becoming increasingly difficult to afford, sometimes even on 2 salaries. And the men that I talk to, they say that even though the world's changed, the script hasn't really caught up. It's almost like they're being cast in a modern-day HBO drama with a screenplay from Leave It to Beaver.
You know, Wally, shaving is just one of the outward signs of being a man. It's a whole lot more important to try to be a man inside first.
There's still a feeling of like having to be a provider, despite, you know, the economic situation currently where that's becoming increasingly harder.
Patriarchy with feminist specifications, what are you talking about?
Especially for working class men.
Yeah.
Do you all agree with that there is still this expectation on men to be doing well economically?
Absolutely.
Even as it's harder for men to do well economically in many cases?
I think the expectation is there, but I think it's less of an external pressure and more among men. There's a sense of inferiority.
So you think it's more about almost like the competition?
I do, yeah.
But I want to get to this change thing. Maybe, Chris, you and Joel, you both talked about your grandfathers. And I think you both talked about them providing, like, for their family. So how do you think it's different now? How do you think the expectations on men are different now than they were in your grandfather? Are they better or worse?
Worse, because the economy. You know, things is more expensive now. And our area, the DMV, has a lot to do with it, too. Like, this is a high-earning area. Cost of living is through the roof. But besides my grandfather growing up down in Georgia, South Carolina, I don't even know what their rent was. It's probably somebody's car insurance.
But women weren't earning as much back then, right?
Nah,
so they were more reliant on him, probably.
I never seen my grandmother work at all.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah, my grandmother never worked. She was always at the house with me or if I was in school, and my grandfather made enough money.
So she didn't need him economically in a way, maybe that women hopefully don't today.
She just knew that he was going to take care of everything.
Okay. Hayden?
I think men, yes, due to, you know, chivalry and traditional gender roles, they are expected to be providers, but I don't care if my future wife makes more money than me. It doesn't matter.
Do any of you care? Would any of you
No,
worry?
I would love that.
I love that. Exactly.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I'm proposing ASAP.
As long as she's in the union.
Okay, so this is interesting, right? But then we ask this question: do you think that that the guy should pay on the first date?
Oh yeah, maybe the first few.
On the first date.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's explore that. Let's
you
explore
know.
it. So there's tension here. All of you said you would be quite happy being in a relationship with a woman that earns more than you, but all of you said that you should pay for the first date, and you said like that's really interesting to me.
I think it's more of an acknowledgement, like, I've asked you out.
So if she asked you out, it might be the other way around.
I mean, maybe, yeah, if she asked me out, I don't think that's ever happened to me, but like, if a girl
Like the guy with the white guy with the curly hair looks mixed. Okay.
was like, for whatever reason,
I really want you to go out. It hasn't happened to any of us, by the way. So I don't know why we're all laughing. Men's issues with expectations can work the other way too. In a society following the old gender script, men are not only saddled with expectations, increasingly impossible to meet, but themselves are forced to expect less from certain institutions that are supposed to support everyone. I'm going to put you on the spot here a bit, Darren, because I know from some of the prep calls that you had some difficulties within a relationship. So we're here talking about dating, but let's talk about how relationships can end. I know you've had some personal experience with that. If you'd like to share.
It was an awful situation, honestly, because she actually ended up like assaulting me. So I have like a bite mark. I even recorded it because she had whipped me with like a hair blow dryer before. And, I showed it to the judge to try to get a protective order. And, he just laughed at the fact that I was taking back a hair dryer because obviously I don't have any hair. But as a judge, when I'm saying, hey, this person assaulted me, a domestic violence situation, for him to like make that comment was really painful. And ultimately I got denied the protective order, and she was able to stay in the house and, just continue being around me after assaulting me, after emotionally and mentally tormenting me this whole time.
It sounds like you feel like the courts didn't treat you fairly.
Not at all. I had blood on my arm when I went into the, to go get my protective order against her, and they said this is gonna last for a day. She, 2 days before she moved out, put a protective order on me saying that I was making Instagram posts about her. I was sleeping on the couch this whole time. She said I was busting in her door every day, verbally harassing her, and the judge took that and said, okay, great. Your protective order is granted for 7 days like that. And like I said, I walked in with blood on my arm and got one for 1 day.
Darren's story is emblematic, I think, of the problems on one side of the political stalemate over issues of sex and gender. Liberals refuse to accept that gender gaps can now run both ways, and they're too quick to label male problems as individual.
That's why it can't get fixed, and we see that. We see that with conservative women too. Same thing. White Mike. White Mike, what is it? The Wire, White Mike?
Failings, symptoms of toxic masculinity. Conservatives, on the other hand, do appear to be more sensitive to the struggles of boys and men, but too often as a justification for turning back the clock and restoring traditional roles. So the left turns its back on boys and men, and the right turns back the clock on women and girls. As you can imagine.
The right turns its back on women and girls? Bullshit. No, it does not, okay? Bullshit. So the Democratic Party offers nothing to straight men and even less to straight black men. The only thing they offer is a back seat to women. Yeah. Chef Mike says, have you seen Orion Teraband's Rise of the Beta? Yeah, I did see it. These guys sound like the men he was referring to in the video. Yeah. In fact, the rise of the beta comes from the Beta Male Revolution by Alan Roger Curry. If you want to look it up, go look at Alan Roger Curry, the rise, the Beta Male Revolution. That's where Teraband got it from.
And these guys had a lot to say about both of these problems.
What I'll say about Democrats is not only abandoning men, but I also think they could.
And also the Beta Male Revolution that Curry talked about came from him listening to MGTOW content.
Under the curve and spit on them. You're telling men not to be men. You're telling men they can't watch football because it's sexist, or UFC because it's sexist. Yeah, men are into fighting. That's why Trump is there. Because Trump isn't abandoned us.
The Democratic Party has abandoned men. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Does everyone else?
Yeah.
But I think what's worse is the Republican Party actively lying to men. They play the
yes. Say it again, white boy. Say it again.
War. They don't want to talk about who could actually be exploiting them, like billionaires, corporations, like trans people are not hiking my credit card interest rates.
Yes.
They did not keep my wages stagnant.
True.
You're focusing on the wrong 1%.
You're a right-wing man, Joel. What do you think?
I was going to say,
just threw you under the bus.
To your point, yeah. Sorry. I had to get that out, man. I had to. It's an open forum. It's an open forum. I might have to say a point against.
Speaking as a transphobe.
Speaking as a transgender myself. But no.
Yeah, crazy.
No, the point you made earlier about how sort of the working class people on both sides, there really is no need to hate each other. I was thinking about that recently. The divide in America really should be class. Work versus you know, the elite. I can't see any conceivable way how in 2024 black people and white people can hate each other, or Mexicans or Latinos or.
Yeah, that is very true. It shouldn't, and especially when the whole world's against you. That's true.
To hate each other, really, we should be hating the people making us hate each other. Yes. Now you can call it the Illuminati or Hydra. I call them Democrats, but besides that, no, okay.
We're not cutting the corporate tax rate and giving them the ability to exploit their workers, but
on the culture point, though, right? Wouldn't you say it does go both ways?
In which regard?
Don't you think on the left there could be a bit of a tendency to get women to blame men? It's
yeah,
patriarchy,
I
it's
can see
toxic
that.
masculinity.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
Isn't there an argument that it's actually equally true on the left?
I wouldn't say it's equal.
Especially on gender.
I would say the right absolutely plays more into the culture war than the left does.
I would say the reason why we do that now is if you look at, I'd say the 90s to the early 2000s, the right, the Republicans at least weren't playing into the culture war thing. So we lost. We lost for a long time. And honestly, I think we still might. I think we did lose, and I think it's going to take a while for sort of Judeo-Christian morals to come back into the, over 50%.
How would you know if they had come back?
I guess we're so open nowadays. Would kind of be a way to describe it. We aren't in ancient Judea 2,000 years ago in a way, which I think is fine. I think it's the world we live in. I don't need women covering themselves.
Well, very few people would want to go.
Women covering themselves, especially in Islamic situations, is a protective layer. Because men are visual, and basically that's what make men approach. So in Sharia law, you cover so that men are not tempted to approach you like that. It's actually a protection for women from men. Okay, those laws are there to protect women, not to make them subservient. Which is a lot of things women are asking for right now. Like most of this Me Too shit, okay, that leads to Sharia law. Stop the BS promoting that men aren't Democrats or don't vote. Icona class, I have no idea what the fuck you are talking about, sir.
Go back to
no, I don't want to either. I like America.
Chris, let me ask you whether you think the Democrats or the Republicans speak best to men right now.
I'd probably say the Republicans. I really can't answer it because I don't pay attention. None of them affect me. But I see more of the Republicans, whatever they're talking about, because Trump and Vance and them, they just put themselves out there. They're more direct. You see Joe Biden's just some old guy. You can barely hear him. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what the hell he's talking about. And then you got Trump who's going to come direct, more just to where I understand it.
I do agree that I feel like Republicans or conservatives have signaled to men, younger men, you have a place here. If you come with us, you'll have fun. You can be expressive. You can open yourself. You don't have to be polite. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. You don't have to be restrained. I don't believe it's the way that they funnel men into this corner is the best. I mean, you'll watch a video on YouTube about working out, and then Andrew Tate will pop up eventually, and then some more right-wing comedian will pop up, and then you'll have Joe Rogan. And then
now the white boy with the beard, no, he's not drunk. That's the way he talks. I know a lot of. If you meet him on the street, it was cold, stone sober. He talked just like that.
You'll have Ben Shapiro, and then you'll just be exposed to this whole manosphere.
I hate this term, the Joe Rogan of the left that they need. When Joe Rogan is sort of left. He endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2016.
Yeah, he was Joe Rogan was a Bernie bro.
In 2020.
All I've seen in my lifetime is Democrats conceding more and more and more and more.
Especially on men's issues?
Especially on men's issues. And they're just slowly shrinking the circle of issues that they actually care about to align with things that aren't going to get their donors pissed off at them,
Yes,
I love the point, though, about Joe Rogan endorsing Bernie Sanders twice, because anytime somebody who appeals to young men across the board rises to a level where they might actually reach any sort of real power, Democrats just kneecap them.
The Democrats don't have a narrative when the Republicans do. The Republicans are immigrants, trans people, a bunch of minority communities. They're the reason why your life is bad. The Democrats don't have that. They have, we're going to tinker around the edges of the status quo.
Well, wouldn't they say that it's the billionaires? It's the
I don't think the corporate.
They can't say it's the billionaires because the billionaires fund them. They can't say that. They can't say that. Bernie Sanders is not who you think he is. Let's put it that way. Bernie Sanders is not who you think he is. Go look at his voting record.
Wing of the party would.
They're sitting in the room.
Yeah, they're sitting in the room. The Democrats have as much corporate money as the Republican Party does.
Do you think that the Democrats have become too much the women's party?
I don't even think you can really say that. I think there are probably more women that vote Democrat than men.
That's true. Absolutely true.
But I think Democrats are just completely empty and lack any real spine when it comes to any issues whatsoever. Republicans, they do the things they campaigned on. For better or worse, I think most of the policies they implement are just objectively evil and create more human suffering than, we already have. But they actually do them. And it speaks to voters. If you're the kind of person that thinks illegal immigrants are causing all the problems in this country, then you like what's going on right now. You like that people are being randomly kidnapped off the street.
There's an authenticity to
it.
Justin Wilson, if you don't know, that's why they're trying to tell you right now. If you listen, okay, it's because of the way they actually did Bernie Sanders. That's how a lot of the Bernie bros went right, okay? Because they know the Democratic Party was full of shit. It's not hard.
They're not telling you one thing and doing another. Democrats, on the other hand, they tell you that they want to do all these progressive things. They tell you they support, lowering the cost of healthcare and education. They tell you they support, raising the minimum wage. And then what happens when they get in office? Biden can't even get his own senators to approve raising the minimum wage from.
Exactly, it sure can't, because they don't believe in it. It's bullshit. That's why. I've been watching Sergeant Willie Pete. He brought this up. Have you heard about him? If you don't mind, I've known about Sergeant Willie Pete for about 10 years, probably more than that. So what about him? In fact, if you go search my name, BJ IBMOR, put Sergeant Willie Pete or SWP, it'll come right up. We've been going back and forth for 10 years.
$7.25 an hour? Like, the fact that that's still the federal minimum wage in this year, 2025, is a joke.
What they were talking about really was a sense of authenticity. There's a high degree of respect among men.
It's not the need to serve women, okay? They don't give a shit about serving women, okay? Richard Reeves is not a blue pill or a red pill. Richard Reeves is a black pill person. He's a military contractor, okay? A military contractor here to service the problem. What does the state need? Okay, they need families and they need children. If men withdraw from participating, there will be no children or families. Okay, that's what he's concerned about. He don't give a shit about women. If he could get away with putting women back in the house and back in the kitchen and being barefoot and pregnant, he would. Don't let it fool you.
I think especially for young men, for men who say what they think and stand by it.
He's been insanely consistent his entire life. He's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing his whole life.
That kind of codes as a kind of masculine virtue.
The Republicans, they have co-opted masculinity and they've politicized it. You see it in like UFC. Like I'm on the left. I like watching UFC. I think it's very entertaining. I think it's a very skill-filled sport. But I don't want to see Trump and RFK Jr. and nerdy Mike Johnson walking to the octagon. Like, people...
You kind of do want to see Mike Johnson do that.
I don't want to see him anywhere.
Nowhere has all of this mess played out more than in one specific phrase.
What do you think of the term toxic masculinity? Good and useful term or a bad and unhelpful term?
Who's answering that?
I'm just going to see who wants to take toxic
masculinity. I'll go first.
This is how we find out who's the most toxic.
Well, I hope I ain't too toxic, but for me, I don't even believe in nothing like that. I believe a man is supposed to be a man. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be masculine. No matter if another man feels offended by it, everybody ain't going to respect you. Everybody ain't going to like you. If a
old school Southern white boy with a little twist. That's what he is.
Woman saying that a man's doing too much or something, he's just trying to be a man,
Or he might be being a jerk or a predator or whatever.
So what do they mean by toxic masculinity?
Well, that's the question.
Okay, yeah, I never understood it.
At one point, this term toxic masculinity had a very narrow and concrete, quite academic definition. And it wasn't actually created by kind of liberal academic elites. It came from a group of men, specifically men driven by a kind of spiritual movement in the 80s and 90s that was a response to feminism in many ways. Until around 2015, the phrase warranted just a few footnotes, really, in academic journals. But with the rise of Donald Trump and the Me Too movement, progressives brought this term toxic masculinity into everyday use. Suddenly it was everywhere, thousands of mentions, impossible to ignore. But the term's very rarely defined, and it now seems to refer to any male behavior that the user of the term disapproves of, from the tragic to the trivial. Toxic masculinity has been blamed, among other things, for mass shootings, gang violence, rape, online trolling, climate change, the financial crisis, Brexit, the election of Donald Trump, even an unwillingness to wear a mask during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Vaguely speaking, it's overused. I mean, they said the term boys will be boys is offensive now in the same sort of way, and it's like, guys want to drink and punch each other. I don't get how that's toxic. I mean, I can sort of get the idea of, when Prohibition was coming to America, the idea is that the the man makes the money, and instead of spending on his family, he spends it on whiskey. You're like, oh, and then he beats his wife. Like, yeah, I guess that's being toxically masculine, but I don't think that a wholesale exists anymore. I just think it's a term, to put down men who want to.
So what happens when a woman gets drunk and goes home and beats her husband, or stabs him or shoots him or throws hot water on him?
I'm not into makeup. That might be shocking.
That's just toxic.
That's just toxic. That's just regular toxic.
Before 2016, before this dressed up word, you'd have this guy's an asshole. He's overly aggressive. He's just, way too forward, or he's creepy, or whatever it might be. So you call him an asshole, you call him weird, whatever. But now it's toxic masculinity, and then there's like a whole bunch of other opinions that people can just lump into toxic masculinity. But when you call someone an asshole, you kind of just know what they're talking about.
They
right
need to
there.
go back to just saying that. That's a lot easier.
Say that again.
They should just go back to just calling guys a-holes. Like,
I'd like to be called. So, conclusion of this debate: everyone's an asshole. We should just know what's toxic.
Mission accomplished.
I don't find this response from the guys here surprising at all. Very few men or boys are going to react well to the idea that there's something toxic inside of them that needs to be exorcised. I didn't try to raise my sons to be not toxic. That's not a very empowering message. I think, if anything, it's the opposite, that the term toxic masculinity will sort of drive more boys and men away to the online manosphere, where they'll be reassured, at least, that there's nothing wrong with them, and it's actually the liberals who are out to get them. But also, at a deeper level, what this means is that we miss the opportunity to address the real structural problems facing many boys and men, when instead we focus on the toxic flaws in those individual men. So if they're depressed, we say it's because they don't express their feelings. They
try to paint this, but the thing is, it's not the men themselves, it's other people, okay? It's mostly women.
And get sick, it's because they won't go to the doctor. If they fail at school, it's because they don't try hard enough. And that's a very far cry from how the term was originally meant to be used.
I think the term itself comes from a good intention, which is like, how can we create a healthier society for everyone involved? I think most of us would agree that there's a severe mental health problem in this country, and a lot of the time it manifests itself in men.
80% of suicide,
the suicide rate, rates of addiction, rates
much
of
higher among men.
Much higher.
I'd like to dig in a bit more on just how the mental health issues are kind of playing out differently for men and women. And I shared some stats earlier around the much higher suicide rates among men. Actually, it's gone up most among young men. It's really men under 30 where we've seen the rise. The rise in drug poisoning deaths has been mostly men. Substance abuse is mostly men. And so it's not to say there aren't issues that go the other way, but I'd just like any more reflections that you've got on.
Because men have most of the pressure. I mean, it's not that hard.
How you think the mental health stuff is playing out. We talked a bit about the lack of male psychologists and your counselor. So maybe we should start with you, Ed, and talk a bit about your own experience.
Yeah, so I'm in recovery. I'm sober. I've been sober from primarily alcohol for 2.5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's a little tough being a 24-year-old in recovery, having the weird eyes and the weird questions.
Well, I haven't had a drink for 5 years. It's not much easier when you're 50s.
Oh, congrats. Nice.
Thank you.
But no, it was just I'd gone through personally a whole string of personal losses, and unfortunately I turned to alcohol to cope with my issues mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I needed all the help I could get.
I think that the whole area of mental health if we're not careful, it gets coded as a bit female.
Yeah.
It's what women do. The websites look quite female.
Boys don't cry, all that stuff, puff out your chest kind of shit. I don't know. Boys can't go to therapy. I think everybody in their life should go to therapy. They should try it once.
Like Darren said, most of the medical field is all women.
Well, it's certainly shifting that way. And
It is all women. I was trying to say that to my group in real life about mental health. I said, it's mostly female, it's mostly white. And when it comes to black men, the hardest thing to find is a black male therapist. Difficult to find, okay? It's not enough of them. Not enough of them. And if they want black men to go to therapy, they'll actually start financializing supporting black male therapy.
Like psychology, therapy, social work, they're just becoming massively more female. Jobs like these, increasingly dominated by women, fall into the industries I call HEAL: health, education, administration, and literacy. If we're going to do right by the men in our society.
Administration and literacy, okay? Health, education, administration, and literacy, all going to get hit by what? DEI.
We need to both protect workers in traditionally male industries and help men adapt to current economic realities by encouraging them to transition into these HEAL jobs.
I mean, what black women need to go to therapy, they need to listen to their therapist, because they don't. Because they'll go to therapy, say, I went and I got healed, but they don't listen to the therapist. They don't actually do what the therapist told them to do. Said, I work in the field and the women make it unbearable sometimes. A lot of unnecessary BS. Yeah, I know. And thing is, Indigo Flow would tell me, I always tell black men, basically, I was trying to say, well, you should go to a therapist no matter what. I said, you know what? The people I talked to said a white female therapist probably did them more harm than good.
We know a lot about STEM initiatives for women, and they've helped massively. We've tripled the share of STEM workers who are women. But we now need the same type of mass effort for young men to encourage them into education and health. I'm very proud of the fact that my son is a 5th grade teacher. And gender gaps can't be addressed without also addressing class gaps. While the gender pay gap has narrowed by 19 percentage points in the last 40 years, the class pay gap between the top and the middle has widened by 12 percentage points. There's a moment really I want to leave you with, stuck with me and I found inspiring. After we'd wrapped up, the 5 young men who disagreed with each other pretty strongly, they sat and shared a bite to eat, exchanged numbers, and they just hung out with each other, not as representatives of different political ideologies or as enemies, but as fellow young men trying to figure things out. And as we discussed, a lot of young men don't have a script anymore for how they should be in the world. Quite often they know what they shouldn't do, but they don't know what they should do. And so what we need now are some new economic and social scripts which allow for a positive vision of masculinity that is also compatible with gender equality. If we're going to write a new script...
It was incompatible with gender equality. They're trying to balance it out, okay? Or they're appealing to the feminist left to be more equal and give men more, okay? Without doing what Donald Trump is doing, which is pulling the whole rug. Donald Trump just pulled the whole rug. Fuck all this, all this slowly but surely moving back to the right. No, fuck it. Pull the whole rug, make it all equal, and everybody sort themselves out. That's what's happening right now with Donald Trump. Which I don't like it because I know what's going to cause. But the thing is, I have to agree with him. Pull the whole rug, and let everybody sort themselves out. Give everybody a level playing field. That's why I know black men will do better in this environment. If you give black men a level playing field, they'll actually excel and do much, much, much better.
Sauce for the goose, Mr. Savick. The odds will be even.
I said that Donald Trump, unfortunately, sauce for the goose, okay? Like it or not, okay, whether it's good or bad, the odds are going to be even. So ripping the bandit off. Let me play the last few seconds of this.
For men that matches modern society, it's not going to come out finding the perfect influencer. It's going to come out of messy conversations like this one. So thank you for watching, and hopefully, no matter what side of the political spectrum you land on, you got something out of this conversation. I know I did. More Perfect Union wants to have more conversations like this, not just about and with young men, but on all sorts of themes. Send them a line at stories@perfectunion.
I would love to see the unedited version and see the stuff that got edited out, okay, with some of the stuff they actually said. I would love to see that because this is heavily edited, and I know some of the stuff that they don't want us to see didn't get out. So I would love to see the unedited version. Anyway, see what you guys saying. Yes, my wife doesn't listen to her therapist at all. she just picks the easy task. I'm sick of hoodie culture. You know what? That's not going away. Okay, same thing with. It took a long time to get rid of baggy pants. Okay, so hip hop is still with us. Hip hop was invented in '76. It's still dominant. Some 50 years later. So it's not going anywhere. What else we got? During COVID, tried that free BetterHelp. Nothing but liberal hippie white therapist. Yep. Let's see. The thing is, time will tell. In my experience, I was helped a great deal by white feminist therapists. I don't know. Are you white? I don't know what color you are. Most black men I talk to, it doesn't help. It does more harm than good. I tried finding a black therapist. It's very hard. Yeah, extremely hard. Ironically, you were my therapist just because you confirm my beliefs and thoughts I had growing up. Well, group therapy does help. So all women do is lie in therapists' pockets. They don't listen to any of it. They make the field the billion-dollar hustle it is. Yeah, they don't take any of it. My mom went to therapy when I was a kid, and she convinced the therapist everyone was basically a therapist, and she was a perfect perpetual victim. That's funny. If you have a therapist who will challenge your norms and not endorse your victimhood, progress can actually be made. Um, if you can find a therapist that understands who you are, that's when progress will be made. Okay. The thing is, they're supposed to be able to spot your bullshit or spot the parts where you're missing. That's a good therapist. See, not where I lived. The very first one I went to was black. I said, but I'm saying it's not enough of them. I'm saying they don't exist. Y'all keep saying like, okay, I know one. There's not enough of them. Okay, so was it a black male therapist, the black baron? I had a masculine male therapist. It did help. Sometimes it's good to know that you're not crazy for having logic when you've been used to confiding in women most of your life. Yeah. How serious do you think the Mouse Utopia can happen in this? It already has. Not. It already has. It's not. Can it happen? It already has. In fact, it's around the world. That's like a lot of the intelligent people that cluster around this space. Okay, they've already taken the Mouse Utopia and studied it. Okay, it already has. It was already happening at the time that he was studying it. As the thing is that the Mouse Utopia experiment, because a mouse generation is like every 6 weeks. Okay, in other words, from the time the mouse is a baby to the time it actually gives birth is about 6 to 7 weeks. Okay, so the generations move faster. That's why. I had a white male therapist, could not find a gynocentric black male one, a non-gynocentric black one. They're hard to find. No, and the thing is, okay, the Democrats, okay, say if RFK got the nomination for Democratic president, which I know he wouldn't, I'd have voted for him. Okay, there's certain ones I would vote for, but things they never make it to the top of the ticket. What's up, Soul Shader? Where you been, man? Are you back in the country? Think to vote Democrat to help your family, but not anymore. It depends on their okay. Fever basketball top of the hour. Okay, cool. We'll see if Caitlyn can actually basically equal her comeback. They need to give you a new identity. I don't know what that means. Okay. Them DEI programs need to be scaled back so black men can. They already scaled them back. Okay. And that's exactly what Moynihan said back in '65, and they ignored. You've been studying Japanese. I'm on my way to the library right now. Talk to Theo and talk to Password OG because they've been in Japan. They study Japanese. They can tell you exactly how to do it because Amuki was over there for 10 years and Password OG has been there for like 15. So if you need help with Japanese, Theo or Password OG can tell you, can give you some pointers. Because they're actually near native speakers. They actually marry Japanese females. Anyway, let's see what else we got. People like FT would say we're lying about the information and research in this space has provided. And you can't, if it's independent and government mandated and government certified, okay, he can he can't say that you're lying. He can say that you're misinterpreting it. Yeah, therapists start with the coach clinician. He's in the space, Then Maggie, even though she's white, Maggie exclusively deals with I say not say lower class, but lower earning black men that have what is it, substance abuse problems. So that is her calling. So that's how come she's here, because that is her demographic that she counsels. So Maggie's good. I'm a blue collar UPS driver myself. I bet these women won't be laughing anymore. Basically, I'm sure you're getting a reach back already. Yeah, they do, because they're trying to stick the landing in the middle. I don't know if she will or not. I don't know if May's going to read it or not. But that's not my issue. Okay, if you're going to bring it up, at least read the shit. I asked him his approach to dealing with parentification and women's roles within it. Okay. If Democrats had the fight in them like Alan Grayson, the former Florida congressional rep, and Cynthia McKinney, the former Georgia congressional rep, I would easily be a Democrat. In fact, the Democrats pushed the small hat Democrats pushed Cynthia McKinney out. Cynthia McKinney actually warned us about the subprime mortgage crisis, because it was actually going on in Atlanta at the time. She actually warned us about it even before it came out. That's why they pushed her out, because she was actually going to uncover all that BS that we did from 2000 to 2008. Okay, she'd uncovered all that. That's how come they pushed her out. Because she was whining about it, man, in like 98, 97, 98. Last comment. What about your last comment? All right. This is why men need to redirect and redefine their purpose with themselves, invented through respected men. Yeah. Pseudo-intellectualism about this space is strong when it comes to the detractors. Okay, because most of them are just. I mean, if you're actually going to criticize the space, at least listen to the material. Okay, don't go by a title or a picture. Okay, I mean, I have to name things a certain way so that you guys will come to the video. Okay. So I have to give it titles that you guys are attracted to. So going by a title doesn't mean anything, because the titles are not geared toward attracting women. Okay, so it might piss them off. But the thing is, you guys are readers that, okay, I get this. But the title's there to attract you guys. It's not there to say exactly what the video is about. It's related to the video, but the thing is, I have to get you in. Okay. But the deeper stuff is not in the title. The deeper stuff is actually in the video. I was referring to a Caucasian saying he wants to give you new scripts to live your life by that are, quote, gender equal. Yeah, well, that's okay. You got to remember, it's not just he's Caucasian, because you got black people, black men doing the exact same thing, working for the same folks. Okay, the exact same folks. And sometimes it's even worse if you talk about pro-blacks. That's a whole different story. But Richard Reeves is not a regular person, okay? Chetty, Reeves, and Galloway are not regular people. They are hired guns for the establishment. You got to understand that. So I point them out is because they're telling you what the establishment is pushing you towards. So when you say Brookings Institute, that's a military think tank. It's not a left-wing social science think tank. It's a right-wing military think tank. And why they're trying to push you this way, there's a reason for it. So don't believe all the soft shoeing. Okay? Okay. Yeah, talk to Theo and talk to Passport OG, because they are near fluent speakers, so they can, and they went through the whole process of trying to study Japanese and actually learning how to speak it in country. So they're probably the best in this space about how to speak Japanese. So would you say the space is doing a good job in competing with the think tanks? Well, the space, okay, think tanks are very narrow, okay, but thing is, what this space does is called crowdsourcing, okay. In other words, what's the difference between Linux and say Microsoft Windows, okay? Microsoft Windows is a think tank, okay, in a sense, right? It's very narrow. Whereas Linux is open source, okay? Anybody that has expertise can contribute. That's how come it develops a lot faster, okay? And you get better code. Linux actually runs highly efficient code because there's a lot of people hacking at it all at once. Same thing while you get the AIs, okay? Certain AIs are very narrow focus, right? Whereas DeepSeek can do it on a smaller budget is because it's open source. So the Manosphere, the Black Manosphere is an open source platform where a lot of people can come in and give their expertise, contribute their 2 shekels. That's why it moves so fast. I don't see how they're going to try to connect the line between men and women without either saying it's a bad deal. Okay, what is compromise, okay? Both people have to take bad deals because you're not going to get everything you want and meet in the middle. You're going to have to lose something, okay? It's a win-win and a lose-lose at the same time. It's called a compromise, okay? And both people have to come together and take the least bad deal. That's the way it works. Do I prefer Red Hat? Oh, good. What it was basically when I was using Linux, it was Ubuntu, but Red Hat is more geared toward business. So if you have a business and you're into the industrial space, the corporate space, Red Hat is probably better. Red Hat is the closest thing to the Unix platform that they have, because there's so much money, which I don't mind. If it's got to be bulletproof, it's got to be corporate, and it's got to, Ubuntu is more open source for everybody else, whereas Red Hat is defined expressly for business. Debian, it depends on your focus. What it's saying is, for a consumer grade level, they have so many flavors, man. It depends on what if you pick a version of Linux, you have to pick the applets that you're going to run on it. What are you using it for? Because every Linux is tuned toward a particular demographic. Obligatory. I run Arch, by the way. Okay. What do you think about the book The Way of the Superior Man by David Dita? I have never read it, so I couldn't give you I couldn't tell you about it one way or the other. Anyway, let's get out of here. I have getting ready to clock out. I have done my hour. Okay. Okay. What do you guys? I can do K Michelle or something else. So guys, do you guys want to listen to K Michelle tomorrow or not? If not, I can bypass her personally, but because I can also do about white supremacy and the Las Castas hierarchy. I can do that one. But I'm sure people would rather hear what I have to say about K. Michelle and her screeching little ass. But it's up to you. It was mad annoying. I'm good on her. Bruce Wayne said I'm good on her. She's tripping. So it's a yay or nay. Put a 1 in if you guys prefer K. Michelle tomorrow. Okay, put a 1 in if you want to hear K. Michelle. 1, there's a 1. Somebody said 0. Doesn't matter. I got a 1 and a 2. I got 2 2s and 2 1s. Thumbs down. More bimble babble, no, two. Okay. All right. We're getting twos, okay, so it's a no. I held to the no. Okay, there's a one. Okay. All right, all right. I know Turtle Bitcoins doesn't want to hear. There's a lot of Japanese in Brazil. Okay, been there like third or fourth generation. All right, so it looks like it's a no on K Michelle. Okay, so I will look. I will actually probably look to do uh, something that I used to talk about this all the time a long time ago, right? About the death of white supremacy and what he's talked about, right? And he actually had a poignant point because he's actually a Nigerian living in New York, and I guess his father he's on the wealthier side, and he actually makes some good points. So I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, there's a lot of Japanese. Oh yeah, what's his name? Fujimori was actually president of Peru for a long time. So. But the thing is, during World War II, there's a lot of Japanese that infiltrated Brazil. So there should be a lot of Brazilian Japanese. I think actually cooked her into bedrock. She's beyond that. Basically, her voice is irritating. So I'm not. When I listen to it, I say, I'm not too. I know guys want to hear it, but the thing is, I'm not too keen on doing her. But I'll do something else. Since the majority of people say two, they don't want to hear it, so we'll do something else tomorrow. Anyhow, Brother Darkness, let Theo cook. He's on to something. Okay, I don't know what he's cooking about. Well, Theo can actually cook on his own channel because I'm getting ready to get out of here. Yeah, I think the Japanese are in Sao Paulo with the yams. Yep, they're there. They are there. Anyhow, let me get out of here, y'all. I will see you guys tomorrow.
What can I say? Mamba out.
Música Denis Schieber.